What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be going over some pretty substantial changes that are coming Tuesday, not only with class balancing, but also with solo shuffle. So if you have been paying attention to my YouTube channel, you would see that I posted on the community tab that I just haven't really been wanting to do solo shuffle because it's like you do really good, and then all of a sudden you have someone leave, and then the next game someone also leaves. I've had that happen like 4 or 5 times in a row before, and those are obviously always the games that you do really well in, because that's what makes people leave, is because they're not doing well. And so it's a bit frustrating, but luckily Tuesday it looks like they're putting out some pretty big changes, which we'll go over as well later on in the video after we go over the class balancing and discuss these. So Demon Hunter, the hunt's damage over time effect no longer deals an additional tick on application. Damage dealt over the total duration remains unchanged. I think this is a very good change, because I thought it was really stupid how when a Demon Hunter would use the hunt on you, it would crit for like 150k or more. I've seen it crit for like over 200k before. And it would also do the first initial tick of the dot that it applies on the person as well. So not only would you get hit for like 150, 200k, but then you'd also get hit for like a 40k dot tick, which was just ridiculous. Like the hunt's damage was just insane. And it's funny because the hunt has gotten nerfed. I think this is like the 3rd or the 4th time now. And I just don't understand how like they have to keep putting out like these huge numbers, these huge nerfs. It's like you think that they would be able to see how just overperforming some of these abilities are doing and just nerf them way more. But let's continue. So Vengeance, don't really care. Feral, all ability damage is increased by 3%. So these are PvE changes. Later on in the tab, I think they have the PvP changes, but this does affect PvP as well. That's another thing I don't understand, is why they don't just have like PvE changes, PvP changes. It's like they change something in PvE and then they leave it in PvP, when like the only reason they changed it for PvE was for PvE, but they just leave it in there for PvP too. I don't know, just kind of weird. Devastation, fire breath damage increased by 10% for devastation only. Does not apply to PvP combat. So that's just PvE. Lay waste increases deep breath damage by 15-30%, was 10-20%. So that's a pretty substantial increase, like 10%. Eternity Surge 10%, Firestorm 20%. I don't think anyone was taking this talent really anyways, but this is a decent chunk. I have Infinity generates 2 essence and crits, was 1 essence. Spellweaver's Dominance increases crit damage to 230%, was 220%. That's another huge bonus. Iridescence damage bonus increased to 20, was 15. So again, this is like Devastation's problem in PvP wasn't necessarily their damage. Like I've seen Devastation top the damage meters a lot of times. Their problem is their defensive abilities. So like when you keep buffing their damage, hoping to make them more viable in PvP, well, these are like PvE changes, but these are also affecting PvP, then they're just going to become another outlier because of their damage. And I don't know. I don't understand why this is affecting PvP, but let's continue. Survival, all ability and pet damage increased by 2%. Butchery Carve, Fear the Eagle, Wildfire Bomb. So it sounds like they're trying to do like Mythic Plus tuning for survival. Wildfire Bomb will obviously affect survival's single target as well. I don't think anyone was really taking Fear the Eagle in PvP, and I don't think that's enough of a change that will make them take that, never use that. So about 2% and like a 15% buff. So I could see that. Fire, Flame Strike, Living Bomb. So again, like Mythic Plus AoE changes. Frost, Frostbolt damage increased by 20%. I don't really ever think that was a problem. Ray of Frost damage increased by 40%. This is fucking massive. Ray of Frost by 40% is fucking huge. Glacial Spike increased by 10%. That's a decent chunk as well. I mean, Frost just got buffed too, and they were already starting to pump a lot of numbers. I think the reason that we just haven't been seeing a lot of them is because, like, Arcane is just the overperformer, and so everyone's playing Arcane, and Frost is kind of like just sleeper right now, just going under the radar. But like with these changes also affecting PvP, this Ray of Frost right here, I think is gonna be strong. Glacial Spike is gonna be strong. I'm not too sure about Frostbolt, but Brewmaster, don't care. Mistweaver, all healing, 5%. Vivify, 5%. Blackout Kick, Rising Sun, Tiger Palm, Spinning Crane, increased damage. Awakened Phaline now transfers 70% of Spinning Crane Kick's damage into healing. So these, I think, are good for PvP, because I don't think Mistweaver was, like, S tier by any means, so I think these kind of help it out a bit. I don't really understand the damage, though. I feel like they were already doing pretty good damage, but maybe I'm wrong. Ret Paladin. Crusader Strike damage increased by 40%. Blade of Justice, 25. Final Reckoning, 15. Why is Final Reckoning getting buffed? What? Field of Vengeance, cooldown reduced to 90 seconds, was 120 seconds. I mean, like, again, Retribution Paladin's problem, they're not well populated on the ladder, not because of their damage, but because of stuff like this, their defensives, their mobility, their utility. That's why a lot of Ret Paladins aren't on the meters, because yeah, you can do some gimmicky one-shots and some strong burst and shit that might, you know, obviously jar teams that aren't prepared or don't know what they're doing. But like trying to offset that with all this damage, again, I know these are PvE changes, but this affects PvP. Like, why is Ret Paladin receiving these massive fucking buffs in PvP? Like, every single time I've seen a Ret Paladin, their burst just like always puts them at the top of the damage meter for like a substantial part of the arena, because they just have like non-stop wings and they're just constantly pumping out consistent damage. I don't know. Maybe there's some nerfs down at the bottom I haven't seen yet. Priest. Holy, all healing done is increased by 3%. I don't really feel like it was their healing that was the problem. I feel like it was their mana regeneration. Shadow. Focused Will provides 10% damage reduction, down from 15. That's good. Less damage reduction. Mind Blast damage increased by 15. Mind Flay 15. This includes Insanity, but not from the proc of Mind Spike 15, Void Torrent 15, Devouring Plague 15. That's fucking insane. I mean, Shadow Priest, like, just got a whole bunch of changes the last round with, like, taking away some of their burst and putting it into consistent damage, and now they're getting even more consistent damage. I don't know. That seems kind of wrong. I feel like Shadow Priest is already S tier. And again, like, if Shadow has a problem, it's not really damage. I don't know why that's being increased, but precise cuts reduce bonus to Blade Fury damage per missing target below its maximum. Yeah, that's Mythic Plus stuff. Okay, so we have Affliction Warlock buffs. 5%, 5%, 10%, 25, 10, 10. UA backlash damage is no longer increased from increased damage dealt modifiers or effects that increase UA's damage. Okay, that's good. Yeah, again, it's just like, I don't feel like Affliction's problem was damage. A PvE change, but it's still affecting PvP. So like, I know there's probably some people yelling at me through the screen right now of like, hey, it's for rating, it's for Mythic Plus, but it's like, yeah, but these are still affecting PvP. And that's why I just wish they would separate out the balancing, because then you have like, because then you just have to rebalance shit later on, and it's just super annoying. I don't know. Destruction, channel demon fire damage increased by 10%. Rain of Fire. Okay. Low Fire 20%. Infernal and Blasphemy immolation damage 10%. Okay, and then they have some changes where they say does not apply to PvP combat. They should have put this to everything above this and then did separate PvP changes, even if it meant that they had to do more to offset the lack of buffs or the lack of nerfs. I just feel like that's a better system. It just removes confusion. And then you can like keep everything linear, so then you can have separate tooltips. So like as soon as you're in PvP combat, you can see exactly how much something does. And when you're not in PvP combat, you can see exactly how much it does outside of PvP. Okay, so player versus player changes. Here we go. Soul Rending Leech bonus reduced by 40% in PvP combat. Soul Rending Leech bonus, 40%. That's pretty big, but like their leech was already kind of nerfed quite a bit, so I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out. I feel like that's pretty substantial. Glimpse, PvP talent. Damage reduction reduced to 35% from 75%. Holy shit. That is huge. So before there, it was almost like an immunity. It was so strong. Now it's 35%. That's crazy. Before it was more than Astral Shift. Now it's below Astral Shift. So that's pretty big. Essence Breaks damage bonus for Chaos Strike and Blade Dance reduced by almost 40%. That's pretty fucking good because Blade Dance was doing some stupid fucking numbers lately. I've seen some clips where Blade Dance was like critting more than the Hunt. It's like, what the fuck? Soul Rend damage reduced by 17%. That's good because I don't know. Blizzard's like making melee classes ranged classes now. They like Demon Hunters have Throwglaive, Ret Paladins have Judgment and Final Reckoning, and it's just like all these melee classes just have so many ranged abilities and mobility. It's almost like they're ranged classes now. It's ridiculous. Energy Loop's mana regeneration is reduced by 25% in PvP combat. I feel like this is a good change because something I've noticed is that preservation evokers always have like so much more mana than whatever healer you're running with. So like if you're running with a Disc Priest, Holy Priest, Holy Paladin, whatever, they will always be compared to the evoker. Like almost no matter what. Like you could have a god tier Holy Paladin and they'll run out of mana before some like 1600 capped preservation evoker. It was kind of ridiculous. Arcane. Siphon Storm's effectiveness reduced by 50% in PvP combat. It's been a culprit for one-shot scenarios. Yeah, I don't really know much about Siphon Storm, but sounds like it was pretty strong, so I guess we're happy with this? Question mark. Glacial Spike. Reduced Glacial Spike's damage increase from Mastery by 25% PvP combat. Probably good. I've seen some crazy high Glacial Spikes, and with the buff that they just gave this Glacial Spike, kind of offsets this a little bit. I feel like this is pretty substantial. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe a good thing, especially since Frost got buffs in other ways. But I don't know if this is gonna deter people from wanting to take Glacial Spike. Blackout Kick damage increased by 30%. Tiger Palm damage increased by 30%. So that's getting doubled. Rising Sun Kick now deals half the damage in PvP. Okay, so they buffed it above. Yeah, they buffed it above in PvE, and now they're nerfing it. But again, this comes down to the fact of like, why not just do these changes separately? Because then you have to do shit like this anyways, you know? Now, instead of having like all these weird modifiers in PvP, you could just have like separate tooltips for every ability in the game. And I just feel like it'd make it a lot more clean. Okay, here we go. Thunder Fist damage reduced by 40% in PvP combat. Finally. See, like, this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, 40%. How do you not see this in any PvP games at all? Like, even if you didn't play Arena as a developer, like everyone's bitching about it, everyone's showing clips about it, everyone's talking about it. And like you could just watch other people play Arena and see that people are just getting one shot by monks because of Thunderfist. And before they just nerfed Strike of the Windlord, which was also a problem, but it was like it was that combined with Thunderfist. So I just don't understand, like, especially if they're playing the game and playing these arenas, how are they not seeing these like outliers? Why did this not get nerfed when Strike of the Windlord got nerfed? Skyreach increases crit chance by 30%, down from 50%. Okay, I'm not really sure what this is. This of Fury damage increased by 15%. So it sounds like they are buffing their consistent damage and nerfing their burst, which is good. I've been talking about this a lot, how I wish classes would morph more into what I feel like my favorite playstyle with elemental is right now. You have like this consistent burst, but you don't have like this gimmicky one shot, like you're just waiting behind a pillar like every 1-2 minutes for like this chance where you have to like just set everything up perfectly and like have a RNG dice roll with your crits, and then you just like happen to one shot someone out of nowhere. I hate that playstyle. I think it's so fucking boring and super cheesy and really dumb. So I'm glad to see these changes here. Flash healing is increased by 30%, was 20. Healing is increased by 35%. Holy Word Serenity, 15%. So overall, Holy got some buffs. Seems pretty good. Oh, wow. Here we go. Shadow Word Death damage reduced by 30%. Was only 20%. Mind Blast, 25. Mind Spike, 25. Devouring Plague, 25. Vampiric Touch reduced by 5%. Was increased by... Wait. Reduced by 5. Was increased by 10. So this is 15%. The proc rate of Shadowy Insight has been reduced by 25%. Surge of Darkness, 25%. That's some insane nerfs. So like before, where is it? So they got buffed by about 15%. Now they're getting nerfed by about 25%. So about like a 10% overall. But they also have like these extra ones, like Shadow Word Death, these proc rates by 25. That's pretty huge. These are pretty significant changes right here. Improve Garrett damage bonus reduced by 40% in PvP. Iron Wire's damage reduction debuff now has a PvP duration of 4 seconds. Great changes. I really hate playstyle of assassination rogues right now, and like how they can just reduce your damage and like have MS, and I don't know, it just felt like really unnecessarily strong in those regards, especially this shit, like reducing your damage for 8 seconds every time they use, I think it's Garrett. Demonic Strength unleashes a Fellstorm that deals 150% increased damage in PvP, was 400%. This is fucking huge. So Demo's Fellstorm deals like less than half the damage it did before. That's fucking nuts. Demon Fire increased by 75%. Dreadbite damage reduced by 10%. We feel it can be a difficult spell to notice, has little counterplay compared to Tyrant and its associated Demon Fire casts. We're looking to adjust Demonology's burst sources while aiming to slightly reduce Demonology's overall pressure by target. These are, I think, good changes. The Tyrant you can line, and you can interrupt him, and you can kill him. Whereas I think the Felguard's a bit stronger. And he could chase you and do Fellstorm and stun you and like do all that shit while you're line of sighted and the Warlock is stunned. So I feel like this definitely does what they're asking for, a little bit of counterplay, which is what I always like. Defensive stance now reduces damage done by 15% was 20%. So this is like encouraging warriors to go into defensive stance more because now they can deal a little bit more damage in there without sacrificing so much for defensive. Overall, I think these are really good changes. The only problems I see are like maybe these affliction changes. The rep paladin changes. And maybe these frost changes. Oh, and some of these devastation changes. So, like devastation, affliction, rep paladins, I don't think they needed their damage buffed at all. I think they just needed some help with maybe some mobility or defensives, you know, depending on which spec you're talking about. Yeah, their problem definitely wasn't damage. I've seen all of these specs do incredible damage. Affliction already has very good consistent damage. Devastation already has very good burst and consistent damage. Rep Paladin, good consistent and burst damage, like insane, ridiculous burst damage. So I don't know. I just don't agree with these damage increase modifiers affecting PvP combat. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I feel like they just needed buffs in other areas. Kind of like if anything happened to Elemental, if they give us damage nerfs a little bit, I think a little bit is fine, but I think if they're going to do that, then they need to give us like some compensation somewhere. You know, again, I'd be fine taking a nerf somewhere if they compensate for it in another area that is reasonable. Like nerfing Ellie's damage, but giving them more like defensives or mobility, I think is fine. Nerfing devastation, rep paladin damage, but giving them more like defensives is fine. And I wish they would do more of this stuff, like what they did with the monk, take away the burst, one shot stuff, and then put it into consistent damage. But obviously monk is one of those classes that would probably need help as well with some defensives. Okay, so now the second part of this video, we're going to be going over some solo shuffle changes that are coming with the weekly reset, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to address this first topic last, actually, because that's the one that I really have to talk about. The other ones aren't really, I mean, they're just obvious. So the second one is matchmaking value for each player in a match will be displayed on the scoreboard. So as you can see here, now there's a matchmaking value that will show up alongside like the other scores and stuff on the screen after a match is completed. So you actually get to see like your specific matchmaking value and the other people's as well. Now they're going to be adding a new UI for people that are leaving that has a prompt showing how much rating they're going to lose. They're going to get a 15-minute debuff that probably just won't allow them to queue again for 15 minutes. You'll get no honor or conquest, and it requires them to wait a period of time and then hit accept in order to leave. So now they're going to be losing MMR now on top of CR. So the reason people were leaving was because it would keep your MMR the same, your matchmaking value, but you would lose current rating, your CR. And so like if someone was going 0-5, they would have lost a lot of rating anyways. And so it would be more beneficial for people to leave, take the slightly bigger loss in rating, but then you get paired with the same skill level people that you were before. So you can basically keep like dice rolling your wins. And then, you know, you don't do good, you leave, you queue up again, you do really good, you basically gain all that rating back. And so it's just it was a really bad system, and I don't know why it wasn't no one thought that they needed to change both ratings, but now it's in the game, and so this should really deter people from leaving because now there's not really any benefit to leaving. You're only going to hurt yourself now, and there's nothing you can recuperate from. So This alone should deter a lot of people from leaving. Um, and they also say players who leave excessively will be subject to account reviews and suspensions. But I mean, that's just like anything else. You know, we still have people that are not getting banned for constant harassment, let alone, you know, just making it difficult for people in arena and solo shuffle. So, but hopefully they'll be keen to their word and they'll start actually looking into these players that are just excessively leaving matches all the time because they just suck. And now they say beyond, they're going to try to incentivize healers more. Um, they want it to be more rewarding, and they're going to improve the UI so that way the in queue and the queue time that you're about to receive will show appropriately. And I'm hoping that they're going to fix the bug with this reset. I'm not sure if that's something they're still working on too. I tried to look for it in here and I didn't see anything, but I hope the queue times will be more accurate to reflect like, okay, well, what's my actual time that I'm going to expect to get in. Now this first thing, they said rating will be calculated per round in games with the levers. So basically, if someone leaves, say like after the third round and you're on the fourth round, and then someone left, they're going to calculate the rating for those 3 rounds. They're not going to calculate it for the total thing, which I honestly don't really like this change because I feel like, say those first 3 matches, you were like a healer or something, and you got all those 3 matches with like that one DPS that left. You know, you're you're punished because this person left now. Instead of like before, it just wasted your time. Now you will actually be punished. And so what I think needs to be done is I think they need to take the MMR and the CR from the lever, and whatever rating you would have lost, I think needs to be taken out of that. And so I I don't really want to say this will inflate rating because like this person's losing rating and you're just distributing it to these people to bring them up to 0 rating change. And so like this person actually lost a lot more rating than what was given out. So I don't really think it'll inflate. Plus this shouldn't happen that much anymore. But I feel like when it does happen for those people that like had all those games with this person that's just griefing the match, um, I I just don't like to see that person get punished, you know. And so like this might not end up being an issue, but I definitely see some circumstances where this could be problematic. But hopefully, hopefully it will be fine. Hopefully people will stop leaving, and hopefully no one gets that unlucky to where they still have a lever um in all those first few matches are with the person that left. Now this might happen still at the beginning of next week, maybe for a few weeks. I don't know how long it'll take, but for people to figure out that, hey, you can't do this anymore because you're going to be punished now. So, you know, Tuesday, some people are still going to be probably doing it because they think that it hasn't been changed yet. They didn't hear about the news or anything. They don't look up Wowhead. And so some people are still probably going to do it just due to lack of information. But hopefully this will get circulated around enough and it'll just reach all these people that are leaving these games. This will probably get me to start playing solo shuffle again. I ended around 2100. I got knocked down a little bit because I just kept getting fucking griefed with levers. And you know, you play 5 games in a row where you win like 4 or 5 of the games, and then all those matches someone leaves, and then the last match, of course, you don't do as well. You do like you win like 2 or 3 games because your team's just, maybe it's not a good composition with the class, whatever, and then you end up losing rating that one round. That's what happened to me like fucking 2 times in a row. So this will probably get me to do some more solo shuffle now that the levers are out of it, because that was really the biggest point. Was you waste all this time, you play all these games, and then you just don't get anything out of it, and then you know you don't do so well some other games, then you start to lose rating. it's just a big waste of time, and then it was actually making my rating worse because of the levers. And so I just wanted to wait, take a step back, work on some other stuff, and then get back to it. But so we should be doing some more solo shuffle. Let me know what your guys' opinions are on these changes. You just comment down below. And we also stream on Twitch, so if you want to catch us live, check us out at twitch.tv/metallurgy. We haven't been streaming a whole lot recently because I've been sick a lot and dealing with some other stuff with, you know, like the holidays and whatnot. But hopefully we'll be streaming here again soon. And I might be doing an updated tier list on all of these changes. So let me know if you guys would like to see that as well. And hopefully I'll catch you guys on a stream later.